This time on CarCraft TV, we were working on a 1967 Mustang Coupe. Back in the shop with me is Kevin Tates because he loves Mustangs so much that he saved this one from the crusher after it was dropped off at a local scrapyard. This is a car that actually came out of the junkyard, and you see that headline a lot on articles and stuff we do or had done in CarCraft in the past and currently do in Hot Rod. Came out of a junkyard, came out of a barn. This thing actually did come out of a junkyard.
They called and they didn't have the heart to crush it. They didn't have the heart to put it on the yard and let it get picked over by everybody else. So I asked them to set it aside at one of their work areas, and I was amazed that with a little bit of work and some fresh gas, I was able to get it running onto a trailer and back to my shop. No crusher for this classic.
Mustangs basically began as an economy car, and you could get it with an inline six. That's what this thing had, an inline six and a 3-speed manual transmission. And I think for this build and what a lot of readers and viewers would do is just keep it simple. Put a pushrod V8 in it. We'll keep it manual, but with a newer 5-speed, also from a junkyard. We will refresh the suspension, brakes, and install new rear axle, updating what needs to be done to this Mustang to take it from crusher to cruiser.
Today, we're going to get rid of all the existing suspension components because, frankly, they're worn out and they don't fit the V8 application. We're changing the suspension to remove the dependency of the suspension to the upper part of the really weak spot welded assembly. Step one is removing the factory Mustang shock towers and all the original suspension pickup points. What we're after is a clean frame rail to build off of. We're going to use a Heights independent front suspension Mustang 2 style. That's basically the geometry that it was pulled out of, and transpose it into this car. We got some trimming to do, we've got some grinding to do, bare the frame rails, set the cross member in place, but it's really an easy system to install. I'm absolutely blown away at how rust-free this vehicle is. Part of the reason for that is because it's been puking oil and fluids for its entire life, and it is coated to the underneath. It's like the world's best dinosaur Z-part. It's preserved this vehicle, but not kidding. Underneath the battery box, you Mustang guys know that there's prone areas in these vehicles that always rust. Floor pans, the top hats, underneath the cowl, it's all solid. This is a unicorn in the vintage Mustang world. I think it came out of South Georgia in a really dry region. The odometer only shows 58,000 miles, and I'm guessing that it might be original miles on it.
While Kevin is cutting the shock towers up front, I'm going to move to the back and remove the rear suspension.
The Mustang left the factory with leaf spring suspension. Leaf springs can cause axle wrap and wheel hop if you toss a bunch of power at them. So we're going to ditch the entire rear suspension and replace it with a bolt-on upgrade from Heights.
Going from an i6 to a V8 means a big jump in power, so our tiny rear axle had to go. In its place, we're going to be putting a 9-inch rear axle, and we're going to be installing it with Heights 4-link rear suspension kit. It is a parallel 4-link design with a panhard bar to locate the axle within the chassis, and to suspend it, we're going to be using coilover springs and shocks to give us better ride height adjustability, and we get rid of the leaf spring, so we'll have better handling because of it. The great part about this Heights 4-link rear kit is that the brackets bolt into the Mustang chassis. After a few measurements, Kevin and I drill our new holes to get the front link brackets and panhard bar in place. We've got our Heights 4-link rear suspension mocked up in the back of our Mustang. So the next step is to get our 9-inch axle housing set into place, get our driveline angles set up, and then we can weld the 9-inch to our axle brackets. The brackets index off our new axle housing, and once we ensure that it is centered under the car and the 4-link bars are in the same angle at ride height, I will tack the brackets in. At ride height, we want the panhard bar to be level. This minimizes the side-to-side movement of the axle during suspension travel.
At the front of the Mustang, we've got everything stripped down to the stock frame rails, all the suspension pickup points and mounts, it's all gone. Frame rails are ground bare, and there's a ginormous hole where the shock tower used to be. This is the plate that covers it in, and it's single wall, not very strong. Doesn't have to be. The reason is that now the strength that used to be derived from the whole assembly is all contained within the Heights Mustang IFS crossmember. It comes with all the boxing plates that you need to reinforce the rails and let it handle that strength, upright mounts, and the IFS frame itself. It comes with upper and lower control arms. The lower control arm's fixed, the upper one is adjustable, and it comes with everything that you need to put this Mustang 2 styled suspension in. Now, Mustang 2 geometry is contained within itself. That's what makes it so popular amongst several different platforms, and it's going to work great on this Mustang.
The Heights frame rail reinforcement plates will box the factory Mustang stamped sheet metal frame. I'll fully weld the plates to strengthen the frame where our new crossmember will live. Heights gives us key points to measure from on the car to locate the new Mustang 2 style crossmember. And once in the frame, we can tack it into place.
Finally, we can assemble the upper and lower control arms, mock up the drop spindles, and then toss the front fender on just to double check that our front suspension is in the right place and centered. And it looks perfect. Front and rear suspension is mocked up and put into place, and everything sits exactly where it should be. Of course, we're going to blow it apart, finish fully welding everything, and I want to get it painted properly so we don't have any corrosion issues down the road, and so it looks nice. The Bear brake system is on front and rear. We got a big brake upgrade. This is made for Mustang 2 style spindles, and it's a beautiful kit. 2-piece rotors, aluminum hats, 4-piston calipers, and it all just fits in there great. Our goal was to get this thing down on new wheels and tires, on the new suspension, and see what our newfound real estate looks like under the hood with that 351 Windsor.
Our crossmember kit works with all popular Ford motor mounts. We simply told Heights we had a 351 Windsor, and the engine drops into place and bolts up. Toss on some new 17-inch wheels wrapped in Continental tires, and we can see what our Mustang looks like sitting on the ground. This is a great start to a cool project.